So you're feeling stuck. You feel like the walls are closing in on you. You don't know what your options are. You've tried certain things, it hasn't worked. People keep telling you it's not going to work, and you just don't know what to do next. In today's video, I'm going to take you through 4 things that you can do right now, immediately, to start changing your mindset and start getting yourself unstuck. My name is Mandy. I am a career coach and a writer. I've been coaching for over 8 years now. After going to Columbia Business School and then starting my own private coaching practice, I have worked with hundreds of clients who have been in this exact situation. And so what I want to do in today's video is take some of those lessons that I've learned in coaching other people and share really practical advice with you that you can use right away. So the 4 things are: 1, believe that things can change for the better. 2 is to gather evidence that things are changing. 3 is have an understanding of what levers or inputs you have to pull in the situation. And 4, this is kind of a mindset thing, but it's like 4 is accept that your reinvention or that your comeback is going to be as messy as the original unraveling. So number 1, believe that things can change. I think one of the hardest things that we battle in these situations is our own mind, because we really feel so exhausted and we really feel like, what is the point? Like, no matter what I do, because you've run through all of the scenarios in your mind, right? You've said to yourself, look, no matter what I do, I will always just end up here in this ditch. So like, there's no point in trying, right? And it feels impossible. It feels like, oh, I have been trying and nothing's been working. I'm like literally running, but I'm not getting anywhere and I'm exhausted. So I just have to sit down. Okay. So the impetus or the feeling is that you just have to, like, the whole sort of magnetic pull is to just stop and to just sit down. And that's because we believe that nothing's ever going to change. Okay. And I would say this is the hardest place to break free from. So let's work on some tactical things that you can do to disprove this. Here are some writing prompts for you. So the first prompt would be, how does this situation make you feel? I want you to record down and write down the actual feeling of discomfort, of squeamishness, of feeling like hot and trapped. Like, how does this situation actually make you feel? Once you take a very cold, hard look at it, okay, that is actually in a weird way going to be releasing, because it's finally admitting to yourself, like, no, this is like just how awful it is. Next writing prompt is, remember that you always have options. Okay, so I want you to think about graduated options. So the first option is status quo, do nothing. Okay, so if you do nothing, here's the writing prompt. If you do nothing, what happens? Project 6 months from now, 12 months from now. If absolutely nothing changes, how does this condition worsen and worsen for you? Then think about, okay, if I took dramatic action, and this is often where our mind goes, right? Dramatic action would be like burn it all, like walk away, rage quit, break up with the person, like just, no communication, like just what's the extreme scenario, which I know you know what it is, because that's where we go. We're all very black and white. We're either all in and suffering, or we burn the ships and never look back. Okay. So if you do that, right, write out that as an option. Okay. And then lastly, think about the in-between. We're not very good at operating in the gray space. So the in-between of, okay, what are 3 things that I could do that are in between do nothing and burn the whole place down, right? What are those 3 things in the in-between? So what we're trying to do implicitly here is show you that you have choice. You have agency. Okay, actually, let's say that there's 5 different things you could do on the table. 1 is do nothing. The most extreme is like, go bonkers, walk away, burn everything, right? And you have these other steps in between. Maybe 1 is like, have a difficult conversation with someone and tell them how you really feel. Maybe 1 is like, no longer accept this kind of behavior, or set up a very clear boundary and work on holding that boundary. Okay. So understand that each of those things are a choice. So even if you do nothing, that's your choice, right? That's on you. And even though that's scary and terrifying because you're like, well, it's not really on me, Mandy, because I still need to pay the bills, so shut up, right? Like this is all valid, right? But everything is a choice. And just next to each one of the options, I want you to then write down, if you did this thing, what would the chain reaction be? Again, we're just going through the scenario so that you can understand there are actually levers that you can pull. Now, you may decide, I don't want to do that because right now my priority is financial stability, so I'm not going to just like rage quit. That doesn't make sense, right? Or you might decide, you know what, actually the most extreme option does make sense because I'm always someone who's really tepid and thoughtful and considerate, and it's killing me. And maybe I just do have to take like really dramatic action in order to like make something happen, right? So just understanding that you do have choice, you do have sovereignty, you do have the ability to make a change. And that as you make moves, right? Things around you can change. Okay, you are not stuck. It is actually not a static situation. And I'll give you an example with like work. You know, I talk to so many people where they're like stuck in a really toxic situation. But you know, the thing about toxic situations at work is like they're also really volatile, meaning that things change actually. Things will be like miserable for a very, very long time, but then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh my gosh, my boss got fired, or oh my gosh, like we actually are changing the entire company strategy, or like, oh my god, like there's always, for better or worse, there's always, even in toxicity, volatility, and sometimes the volatility can be used to your advantage. I'm gonna share a personal example as well. So it's just something that I'm going through right now. So about a year ago, I kind of knew this was happening, but I'd sort of like ignored it for a while. But I knew that my blood sugar was really high. It like runs in my family. My dad has diabetes. And so I finally went to the doctor and they took my blood sugar and they were like, yeah, you basically have really high blood sugar and you have to get this under control. So every 3 months I kept going back to the doctor, and the doctor would just they basically told me, they were like, yeah, okay, so you know, this is essentially genetic and there's not much you can do. So, like, there are certain things you can do, obviously, with diet and exercise, but beyond that, there's, you know, some, like my doctor, who's lovely, was like, sometimes your body just has a hard time, like, moving the sugar through your system. So we are going to start you on medication. So I started on a lowish dosage of metformin, which is like, kind of, they said it was like the standard go-to, just like oral medication that you can take that just isn't, supposedly has no side effects, but it lowers your blood sugar. Okay. So the past couple months I have been taking this medication, and I would go on and off the medication because honestly there were side effects for me. I felt very like it just made me nauseous, and it either made me feel like really full, or like I just could not figure it out. And my husband was like, did you take your medication? And I'd be like, no. And then he'd be like, you have to take it, right? And so this was the situation. And I felt so stuck. I really did, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I feel like my hands are really hot. I feel really flushed all the time. I feel like what am I doing wrong, etc., etc. Okay, I'm telling you this story because I wanna kind of kickstart something in you, not about like eating, but just about like when you feel stuck in a situation. So for me, what I did, and this is what I'm gonna recommend for you, is I just started to do research, like some basic Googling. Okay. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just watch some YouTube videos about it. I'm going to read about it, etc. Okay, this is going to sound so stupid. But one of the videos was like, oh, you should drink apple cider vinegar. There's like acetic acid in that, and that like lowers your blood sugar. And so I was like, stupid. But I also was like, you know what? Like, this is new information to me. Like, my doctor never told me that, right? So 10 minutes of Googling, 10 minutes of like watching YouTube videos, which I don't know why. I never did before, but I just like didn't. Okay, stupid. I was just like, okay, I was making the journals for my business. I was just standing there anyway. So I was like, okay, I might as well try this. I have apple cider vinegar. I put some in in a glass of water and drink it. Okay. I also have a continuous glucose monitor, which is like one of those things that like goes into your arm and it continually checks your blood sugar, and it's like connected to an app. So you can basically see like minute by minute what's happening with your blood sugar. When I tell you my blood sugar went down by 20 points immediately after drinking this freaking stupid apple cider vinegar, I was like, wait, what? Okay, so that really opened my eyes to be like, oh. And by the way, when I would take the medication would only drop it 10 to 15 points. So I was like, hold on a second. What have I been doing? This medication makes me feel sick as hell. I could drink apple cider vinegar. It has like the same effect. So it really opened my brain, okay? Because beforehand, my brain was in a point where, based on what my doctor was telling me and just the general knowledge of the world, right? It was like, this is your sentence. You're stuck with this, okay? Diabetes is irreversible. You cannot change it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in my mind, I was like, well, then what's the point? I'm just like, my body is like broken. It's like a lemon. This is like all I can do, right? But then after this like little experiment with apple cider vinegar and watching it actually have like a pretty dramatic effect, which to this day I'm still like, what? I was like, oh, my mindset changed to be something where I was like, oh, change is possible. And that was like the game changer. This brings me to point 2, which is you need to gather evidence that things are changing. Okay, so if step 1 is like write your options down, do your research. Step 2 is like start trying things and start seeing what's working and what's not. So whatever your goal is, right, you can just start to track that. You can start to track your progress towards that thing. I think the reason why it's so important to have a lot of options and then to try those options out is because oftentimes we aren't recording this. We are not organizing this in any smart way. And so what happens is we feel stuck. We have an idea. We then muster up the courage to try that out. It fails because it's just one idea that we haven't really organized or vetted or put up against multiple ideas, right? And then what happens is that fails, and then we just are like, okay, fuck it. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Forget it. I'm stuck. I tried that. I tried something and it didn't work. That's how I was with the diabetes. I was like, I tried the medication. It didn't work. I tried changing this, that, and the other. It didn't work. I still feel bloated. I still feel sick. I guess I'm stuck, right? So you can't just stop at the first thing that you try. You have to keep trying other things. So then, of course, I went down like the YouTube rabbit hole and it landed in this whole world called like reversing diabetes. And first off, I was like, what do you mean reversing it? Like, I didn't even think that was possible. You know what I mean? Because my doctor, the last time I saw her, she was like, we may want to consider going on the GLPs, which is, ladies and gentlemen, like literally Ozempic. They're trying to put me on Ozempic. And I'm someone who just doesn't like medication, period. Like, I know how I never feel right. I always get sick. Like, no. And I'm like, you want me to be on like that weight loss drug that celebrities are on, and you want me to like inject myself with something forever? And then, you know, from what I've read, it's like, this is the kind of drug that if you're on it, you always have to be on it. So I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And so I like begged her. I was like, I feel like that's very dramatic, you know, and I'm not ready for that. I also told her, I was like, there's a lot going on in my life right now. I don't know if I said this, but I basically was like, I'm trying to finish my book. I'm growing this YouTube channel. I was like, I need emotional stability right now. I'm not ready to fully upend my life, start sticking needles in myself, and go through some kind of like basically very intense medication that will make me drop lots of weight and make me extremely moody. Like, no, thank you, right? So, okay, I keep going down this rabbit hole. I keep gathering evidence. I keep doing research, right? One of the things I find is there are these channels on here, and they're basically just like, hey, it's really easy. You could just reverse your diabetes by like, just stop eating carbs. And that's just not the advice that my doctor gave me. You know, my doctor was like, oh no, you can have like whole grains, just like pick things that release slowly over time. Okay, so I was just taking her advice. Also, I love carbs. I love them. And I was like, I had already made the switch from like white rice to brown rice. As an Asian, this hurt me so bad, but like, I did it. I already made the switch from white pasta to whole wheat pasta. Like, I'd already done these things, okay? And nothing was changing. And one of these like YouTube doctor guys was like, listen, it's because a carb is a carb. And if you have this condition, basically you're eating too many carbs, and every time you eat a carb, like your body is going to react with a spike in your blood sugar, right? And again, I had a tracker because I have the continuous glucose monitor. I could see everything I put in my mouth. I could see, okay? So there's the first day that I really, and this was like 4 days ago. Okay, so I'm just like in it right now. But the first day that I tried this, I had half of a whole wheat English muffin. I told you, like, I was being really good, right? Had half a whole wheat English muffin, ate it, and then my blood sugar went to like over 200, but then it really, like, normally at breakfast it would go to like 250. And then this time it went to a little bit over 200. And then I was like, interesting. Okay, so what happens if instead of like some disgusting smorgasbord pasta lunch, like maybe what if I just have a chicken salad that I make from scratch? And I tried that and my blood sugar was steady. And then for dinner, I did the same thing. I like had a lot of protein. I had a lot of greens. I just like didn't eat carbs, right? There's still carbs in the other food, but I didn't eat the carbs. That day, my blood sugar was lower than it had been in 6 months. No medication. I literally just didn't eat any more freaking English muffins. I just, instead of eating rice, I had beans. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like pretty simple. It's been like 4 or 5 days now, and literally, first off, I have more energy. Weird. Second off, like, if you look at my spikes before and after, before it was like this, okay? Up and down, up and down. And now it's just like steady. Again, none of this would have happened if I didn't believe that I was capable of changing something. If I didn't, like if I had been skeptical of the apple cider vinegar, like if I had been skeptical of that and been like, no, that's not going to work. Like there had to be a weird part of me that was like, maybe that would work, right? Yeah, so this step is really about the experimental stage where you are just like trying things. Like one of the things I tried was like, well, can I have apples? And I tried a green apple, no problem. I tried a cosmic crisp last night. No, that's a problem. Like, so you're just starting to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, and I'm not like advocating any of these things for you guys. Like, obviously I have a weird dietary situation, but what I'm saying is like, here's an example of when I felt extremely scared and extremely stuck, and I still was able to like kind of squirrel my way out of it. Granted, it took like a year of me pounding my head against the wall and like not figuring it out, but alas, we got there, right? Okay, the third one is to understand the levers or understand what you have to do to get success. I always think of success in terms of a funnel, okay? So at the top of the this is for no matter what you want to do, whether it's to get a new job or to grow your social media following or to build your brand or to lose weight, like it's all the same, okay? At the very top of the funnel is your inputs. These are things that you're putting into the top of the funnel, right? These are things that you can control. These are everyday actions that you do to get you closer to your goal, okay? And then as it moves down through the funnel, think of like a triangle, right? Like as it moves down through the funnel, then eventually at the end, there are outcomes, right? These are things that we don't typically control, but these are the markers of success. Right? So the marker of a success would be like, oh, I got a new job offer. Or a marker would be like, oh, I got into a new romantic relationship. Or I was able to grow my brand on social media, right? And sometimes as I'm trying to accomplish a goal, I can get really confused or distracted. And then I like forget what the point of even doing. Like I literally forget what I was doing. I'm in the middle of it and I just forget. Okay. So I created this very simple habit tracker for myself. And I'm going to link it in below so you can just download it for free. And again, it's not going to be one of those like, give me your email. I don't even care. It's just going to be a Google Drive link. You just grab it. Okay. So it's like not cute, but it works. Okay. So what I've done is I've put the 3 things that are important to me in this season of life. Okay. So my 3 things are the habit of, number 1, uploading a YouTube video. Okay. Number 2, the habit of uploading a TikTok video. And then number 3, the habit of writing. Okay. So let me break down each of these. So for me, like, obviously I'm trying to continue to grow this channel. I'm trying to build the habit of being consistent with uploading, right? I also know that I love a streak. Okay. And I also know that the more I do something, the more I want to do it. And that probably works for you too. It's just the beginning momentum is like so hard. Okay, so there's like 30 little dots here, and all I'm doing is, and this isn't even attached to like a month, or it's just like, let me just try to do this as much as I can. Okay, so like this was, I think, Monday or Tuesday, I posted a video. So then I get to like color in a little dot. Coloring in the little dot is so satisfying. I cannot wait to post this video and color in a little dot. Okay. In terms of motivation, I've been, maybe just because it's more new for me, I've been way more motivated to make YouTube videos, even though it's like harder and it takes more time than making TikTok videos. And I found myself really dropping off. But I also know that one of my goals is to continue selling my journals and to grow that side of the business. Like, that's literally how I make a living. So if I'm not out there on TikTok every day promoting this, creating content, showing behind the scenes, going page by page through the journals, if I'm not doing this, like, the business is going to get to a standstill, and that's not what I want, right? So in order to get what I want, I have to go through the resistance of not wanting to film TikTok videos, which I don't. Now that I say it out loud, I'm like, okay, like, you say you want to eat cake, but you don't want to make the cake. Just make the cake so you can eat the cake. Like, it's so silly. But that is how it works, right? So this page is to help me make more TikToks because it will lead to the outcome that I want, right? So the day before and yesterday, I made a video, and so I was able to like color in the little dot. Very satisfying. And like I said, I really feel like it's just getting over the hump, because now that I've made those 2 videos, now I'm like, wait, I could make a third. I could see what the video would be. I could record it. Like, it's not going to be hard. Okay. So much of this really is just about building that momentum. Okay. Last one, which again, these are like all, I don't know why, guys. I don't know why I pick things that are so hard. Like, I was telling my husband, I was like, why do I want to be a writer, but writing is so hard and I hate writing? Like, why? Like, should I just pick something that I enjoy? But I actually think that anything that you want in life, any outcome that you want, actually, the doing of it is really annoying and very painful. So I've just accepted it. Okay, but again, I'm like in the final editing stages of my book. There are major rewrites that I'm working on. Okay, but so I'm doing these rewrites, and it's like, I just don't want to. I don't know, sitting there looking at words that I have written a long time ago, trying to modernize them, trying to make it feel up to date, trying to integrate all of this feedback. It's I don't know. I think maybe I'm weak and I just have to get stronger. And so I'm pushing myself to get stronger, and I'm just using all of these like workout analogies, being like, okay, the only, like, a joke that I have is like, the only way to get better at wall balls, which is like this horrible movement in CrossFit where you like take a really heavy medicine ball, do a squat, throw it up in the air, it hits the wall, and then like you catch it and then you do it again. And like sometimes you have to do 50 in a row, and I hate them because obviously, but my saying is like, the only way to get better at wall balls is to do more wall balls. And it's true. It's like, the only way to get better at writing is to do more writing. The only way to get better at something that is miserable is to do more of it, which sucks, but it's true. Because I also like behind each of these tasks is like a big goal, like something really worthy, something that I really want to achieve, right? Like, the YouTube is to really establish a long form platform for myself, develop a community, help other people, be of service, right? There's always the ancillary skills as well, which is like, be better at talking on camera, like be more comfortable sharing, learn to be more vulnerable in public spaces, like blah, 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 reclaim my voice, right? That's like a big goal, right? The TikTok is like sharing my knowledge through physical product, also learning how to do social commerce, like that's like a hard thing. And obviously the writing is like, oh, I don't know, lifelong dream of being published author. Like, Yeah, bitch, like it's hard. It's hard. So anyway, I had to resort to this like kindergarten method. You know, like when your kids are like getting potty trained and then they're you have to do these like charts for them, or this is like elementary school like motivation chart. I had to resort to this stuff because I'm not above it. I'm like, I know I have the brain of a child, or no, I have the brain of an adult, but I have like the emotional heart of a child sometimes. And I'm like, sometimes I just need to color in a dot, you know? Fourth and final thing is that we need to accept that our reinvention and that our comeback is going to be ugly. Okay, so let me explain. Okay, so you're all familiar with the act of unraveling, right? Which is where you have a little bit of a cute mental breakdown, or you have a little bit of a like, oh, I actually have no idea what I'm doing in my life. You have a little crash out, right? I would say my diabetes thing was like full on crash out. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was just still eating carbs. I was getting really bloated. I was really grumpy. The medicine was making me crazy. I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I didn't really tell people that I had this diagnosis. Like I was really ashamed. People like my friends, like in the summer, I'd be wearing a tank top and they'd be like, what's that on your arm? Or like my kids' friends would come over and the little 8-year-old would be like, what's that on your arm? You have to explain like, I'm fat. They explain like, I have diabetes, and then people are like, oh, and then they don't want to talk about it. Like it's so embarrassing, right? And it's so cringy, and you fall apart, and these things just are so hard, and you feel lost. You feel like you're at rock bottom, right? So we come apart. There's like a dismemberment that happens. Our limbs are like strewn about. And then when we're at rock bottom and we are sort of devising our comeback, when we are thinking about like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna recover from this, and how am I gonna come back 10 times stronger, and what's my makeover scene gonna look like, right? When we envision that recovery, we envision it to be this beautiful, graceful thing. Like I fell down as an ugly duckling, but I'm gonna come back as a swan. But I'm gonna tell you right now, like that's false. You fall down an ugly duckling, you come back as a deformed ugly duckling. Do you know what I'm saying? And I say that with like humor and love because I feel like we all just want to be beautiful, graceful swans coming back for like our Renaissance era kind of thing. But it doesn't work like that. I think if you fall down and it's ugly, when you get back up, it's still ugly. But I also say that to reassure you and take the pressure away. To be like, oh, you thought this was going to be like cute. You thought you were going to come back and then it was going to be like you finally got your groove and you finally got your step back. No, you're going to be more awkward, like figuring out the way out than you were falling down the hole, if that makes sense. And I think that's what makes it so mortifying is we're like, oh my God, it was so embarrassing to fall down in the first place. And now I'm trying to get up and everybody's looking at me and I can't even get up gracefully. I have to get up like a newborn gazelle, all wobbly legged again. Ugh, right. And so we bemoan the fact that it's hard. We bemoan the fact that progress is hard, that recovery is hard, that coming out of a hole is hard. But of course it's hard. That's why most people stay stuck, is because also your pride is like, no. Like if I'm going to come back, I'm going to come back with a vengeance. I'm going to come back in such a way that's just going to be I'm going to be such a chic killer of everyone. Everyone's going to be devastated by how gorgeous my comeback is. And it's like, no, they might be more horrified by you when you come back than when you initially fell down. It'll be like a double gasp, a gasp when you fell down, a gasp when you came back. But we can't let that stop us. We can't be like, oh, just because I'm ungraceful, I'm not going to try to recover. So last night we played this game, and the game was, what would mommy order if we went out? Because I love to eat out. You know that, right? So we played this game and we were like, okay, Cheesecake Factory, what would you order? And it's like so hard because your mind automatically goes to like all the carbs that you love to eat. And literally like we were like Domino's pizza, and I was like my brain like short circuited. I was like, and then finally I was like, wings. I would get wings because they don't have carbs. They're just meat, right? I'm not advocating this. It's just a joke. But just to show you that like it's not, none of this is cute. All of it is awkward. All of it is ugly, you know, but you're going to be fine. Okay, so to recap, here are the 4 things that you're going to do. 1 is you are going to change your mind. You're going to brainwash yourself into thinking that yes, change is possible. 2 is you're going to gather evidence for, oh, things are changing and that I can make little changes. 3 is you're going to understand what levers you have to pull, and you're going to understand what you have to do at the top of the funnel to create the outcome that you want. And then you're going to create a stupid little habit tracker for yourself, kindergarten style, so that you can motivate yourself to keep going. Everybody loves a streak, and it's really, really hard in the beginning. But then trust me, when you get to like 17, you're going to want to do it. You're going to like crave doing it. Trust me. And then finally, accept that your reinvention is not going to be graceful. It's going to be awkward and ugly, but that's okay. We move through that. We move through that with self-love, with acceptance, and with hope for the future. Okay, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I love you all. I will continue making content for you. Hope you have an awesome weekend, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye!